Good morning. Cup of tea at the ready. Second morning in a row I've come on to you face to face. And I am denied about it, but I thought I would this morning, purely because I woke up this morning to an email from Sarah Douglas, who is the CEO of Stamping Up. If you're coming on, do come on and say hello. And I thought I would share some of that with you this morning, just before we went live. We're at an exciting time in our Stamping Up calendar. If you are a demonstrator, which some of you I know are, tomorrow we are going to get to see the PDF of the new catalogue that is going to launch in June. So the new annual catalogue, we are going to get to see it as a PDF version. We won't have the catalogue in our hand, but we will be able to go online and see it. We already have a sneaky peek of at least one item that is going to be in that catalogue that is very exciting. So it's a very exciting time. So there's lots of fun things to be had. But Sarah came on her email this morning to tell us about Stamping Up's new I'm going to forget the words now. We have our mission statement, and then we have the things that drive the mission statement. And if that word comes back to me, or anybody can think of the word that I want, do come on and tell me. But the core values, that's the word I'm looking for, about the core values that drive our mission statement. Morning, Angie, as Stamping Up. Now, Stamping Up's mission statement is their statement of the heart, and Stamping Up's statement of the heart has been around for a long time, and their statement of the heart always gives me goosebumps every time I hear it, and it is to love what we do and to share what we love. And as we help others in their enjoy creativity and worthwhile accomplishments, in this we make a difference. Now, I think that statement of the heart has never been truer than it is at this moment. That is what I'm hoping I'm doing every morning when I come on live to you, in helping you to experience creativity, to enjoy your creativity and have worthwhile accomplishments. I hope that I am making a little bit of difference to you. And from some of your feedback and things, I believe that is the case, and for that I am really pleased. That is why I do it. But yesterday morning I came off, sorry, I'm going to get a bit emotional. I came off my live yesterday morning, and I think I'm not immune to the impact of all of this. And at the end of my live yesterday, I was trying to decorate my envelope and I'd lost my bits, and by the time I came off yesterday, I felt as if, that was awful. I'm sure it wasn't, because most of everything else was fine during the morning, but because it had ended on a bit of a moment, it felt as if it was awful. So I don't know if you ever feel as if when you need it most, things are sent to you. But this morning's email was definitely that for me. So, statement of the heart, sharing creativity, and that we make a difference. It makes a difference to me personally. I hope it makes a difference to you. And if there's anything more that I can do or that you'd like to see, please let me know. But these new value statements that they've made, these new core values, really struck me this morning. So they have come up with 4 core values that drives the mission statement. So that is what we do, and these are the core values. So we care about people first. Absolutely we do. You are very, very important to me, to my business, and it's all about everything I do. So I stand this morning, I've got a bingo evening booked for this evening that looks very much like I'm not going to be able to go ahead with it today. The word yet is very important. It's not that we're not going to be able to go ahead with it. We're not going to be able to go ahead with it yet, purely because the post office is just so overwhelmed. And, you know, I'm not cross with the post office. Those poor guys and girls are so overwhelmed with post because we're all suddenly posting everything out. Our post office system had sort of dwindled a bit because nobody was posting quite so many things anymore. Suddenly, it's been overwhelmed with all this post, these things we're ordering, things we're sending to people. We're sending cards to people. I know I, for one, have sent little packages to my grandchildren. You know, we're doing all of this and the poor post office is overwhelmed. So that means that the kits that I've sent out as yet haven't arrived, and I doubt that 8 kits are going to arrive today. So it looks like things like that's not going to happen today, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen. It will happen at some point. So, you know, people, hi Louise, I'm having a bit of an emotion moment at the moment. I'm just sharing these core values of things that have come out today. So the first thing is that we care about people first, and I do care about people first. My customers are incredibly important. I feel really guilty that we're not going to be able to go ahead with this bingo tonight. It's out of everybody's hands, and it will go ahead as soon as everybody has their packets. I don't want to leave anybody behind. I don't want to say to 2 or 3 people you can't join in because your packet hasn't arrived. So we're going to go ahead with it when everybody has everything they need to enable that to happen. So we care about people first. We act with courage. Doing all of these new things that we've had to do over these last few weeks. My business has gone from a mainly face-to-face business where I meet with people in classes. It's the main bulk of my business to go totally online. We've done Zoom classes. We've had Zoom meetings. I'm hitting people with challenges. We're doing all of these things. So we do have to take what's happening with us and go forward with courage. And I give that to all of you. You know, if you need to make changes, do it with courage. You've got to go ahead with it. And we better our best. We have to understand that, you know, things go wrong. The bingo this evening, things go wrong. We need to review. I shall need to review. So when it comes to May's events, I will be planning them so that I've got, you know, a good 2 weeks lead up in terms of things going into the post and things happening. So we learn from our things. So we better our best. All the time we're looking at things and saying, that's good. How can we make it better? And we own it. So I wanted to come on this morning and want to tell you that I'm owning it. Thank you for joining me every morning. We are going to go on ahead and play in just a second, but it just really touched me this morning, and I wanted to share that with you. So we go ahead, we carry on playing. I'm going to show you the envelope that I did finish eventually yesterday morning, and thank you for being with me on this journey. So let's craft. I'm going to move you around, so hold on to your hats. Right, I'll move my scribbled notes where I wrote down all of those things. In front of me here, I have got my finished cards from yesterday. Morning Charlotte, morning Megan, morning Tracy, morning Kerry, Jackie, Louise, Karen, Molly, Lisa, Angie, Karen, Janice, Emma, Valerie, Beryl, all of you, good morning. Lovely to see you all. The sun is shining. Where's my finished envelope? Which one was it? Which one was it that we were doing yesterday? Ta-da! My finished envelope from yesterday. So we have our little kit, our little bag of cards that we cased yesterday, and that was really sweet. And I do love that that tassel. I love how that ended up. I really didn't believe that it was going to go quite as ombre as that, but it did. So that's one for another day. We'll have to play with other things. So if you weren't with us yesterday, that was colouring the ends with the stamping blend and dipping it in water and allowing it to bleed before we dried it. Right, a couple of things I've got planned for this morning. the first, we had a play with this bag yesterday, and we made that just this plain little simple bag with that tag on. And I did say that you can also use this to create a backpack. So a different style of card. So I don't know how this is going to work out. When do I ever know how this is going to work out? But I thought we'd have a bit of a play with this. And I'm going to cut. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that in half, because I happen to know that this bag will cut two pieces of card in one foul swoop. So I've cut that in half, and I'm going to run those through together. Now, as I say, if you are a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I know some of you are, tomorrow you're going to get to see the PDF of the new catalogue. If you're not a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you would like to be one of the people that gets to see the PDF of the catalogue tomorrow, and to receive a new catalogue in the very near future, then joining up is the way to go. Get your starter kit. And I know that we talk a lot about that in celebration, but you can get your starter kit any time of the year. So if there's a few things that you want, if you've got a shopping list that is £99 worth, then make it £130 worth and get your starter kit. And then you too can be seeing the new catalogue tomorrow and see what these new goodies are that are coming out. Right, so we have cut 2 bag pieces. We also need 2 handles, so let's cut those, because then we're going to have a bit of a play with this and see what happens. So we're going to make a backpack style bag. I've cut it out of Blueberry Bushel. Now this is one of our colours. We're talking about looking forward to the new things. This is one of the things that we're going to have to say goodbye to. I'm going to miss Blueberry Bushel. I think it's a beautiful colour. But we have new colours coming. The other thing that is going to be released tomorrow, hand in hand with what we're getting in the new catalogue, comes the morning, Hannah, comes the what we're going to be saying goodbye to. So the retiring list will launch tomorrow as well, so we should be able to see those things that we're going to be saying goodbye to. And as always with the retiring list, it is get it while you can, because it will be while stocks last. Once the stocks of those things go, they are gone for good. I'm going to cut out one of these little pockets as well. Oh no, I'm not going to throw it on the floor. Let's try that once more with feeling. So, little pocket, 2 bags, 2 straps and a little pocket. I've got here the Subtles embossing folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these through this Subtles embossing folder, because I want them to have a sort of fabricy look to them. Now my Subtles embossing folder is one of the old style, but you can very much get a Subtles embossing folder in the new style. And these are one of those things that it may be a bit hit and miss as to whether you can pick that up. There we go, that's good. But you get this beautiful texture. It's one of those things that in the catalogue you'd look at it and think, what the heck's that about? That is a very nothing sort of an embossing folder, but actually it's one of those things that is it's called subtle. It is subtle. It makes a very subtle difference, but a very fabulous one when it comes to holding things and feeling it. And I'm now putting my pocket and my 2 straps through there as well, because obviously we want this all made out of the same fabric. Now, this is where I don't quite know how this is going to work. That wiggled a little bit in that folder, but actually that might give it quite a fun impact. I don't know how this is going to work. We're going to try and we're going to see. I have got here a Night of Navy sponge, and I have got somewhere a white sponge, and I have got Night of Navy ink, and I've got some white pigment ink. So what I'm going to do, we'll try it on the pocket first, because if it's disastrous, then we can cut one of those easier than we can the rest. So I'm just going to tickle over the top of there with some white craft ink. And I'm also going to bring in some Night of Navy ink, because what I want to do is to sort of give it a different tones and make it look, actually that's not half bad. It's quite good, isn't it, when a plan comes together? Don't know how well that will show up, but it is looking quite denim-y, which is what I wanted it to do. Quite pleased with that. So now that that bit's worked out, let's go on with the rest. I think I'll come in first with the Night of Navy, so that's giving it sort of a darker finish. I'm going to fold these bits down because those are the flaps, and we actually want the sponging to come onto this bit. We can bring some in down that seam just there, and that seam just there. We'll do the same with this one. Let's fold that and give that a bit of a sponge, and that a bit of a sponge, and that a bit of a sponge. So we're not worried too much about this being perfect, because we do want it to give the impression of being faded in some places and not in others. Let's just give that a bit of a sponge over, just adding in sort of almost like a stone washy type effect. We're just adding in a bit of white here and there. That actually has come out quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. It's good when something comes out of your head onto paper. Right. So we've got quite a stone washy type effect bag now. So we're going to stick this one together, but this one, where was the other one we had that side panel sticking out? This one we're going to have it sticking in, because we're going to make that backpack type effect. So let's grab some Tombow. And let's put some Tombow on here and stick these bags together. I'm going to read your message in a little while, Valerie, I think with a cup of tea, rather than look at more now, because I might send myself back into... But thank you, sweetie. Right. Let's pop down these bottom flaps. And morning, Molly. Hope you're doing okay. I love seeing all the little pictures of your little dog. She's very cute. My dog is just being very lazy. He goes back to bed of a morning. Who can blame him? It's funny though, he always seems to manage to appear at lunchtime when he knows he's due a treat. He can tell the time. He's very clever. Right, so there's our bag coming together. So we've stuck that down on the bottom. It's the same. Instead of tucking it inwards, we've got that so that it's coming outwards. And we have our straps, and we're going to have those coming round the back like this to make our backpack. We'll have a bit of a pocket on the front like this. So what we could do with is a nice flap coming over the top. Let's have a look. We want that to be 5.5 centimetres. Let's make it 5.5 centimetres by 5. Let's run that through our embossing folder. Let's have a slurp of tea while we wait for the embossing folder to appear. We could have actually cut that with a stitched rectangle. I wonder if that would have been better. Where's that embossing folder gone? Do you know, I stand here in my little square in front of my desk and there isn't very much room for anything to go. I've not picked any of that up. Aha! No wonder I can't find it. I'd put it on top of the box ready to go away. Don't put things away. You're never going to find things if you put things away. I've got another email waiting to be read that a friend sent me about from Marie Kondo, talking about organising your workspace while you're working from home. Perhaps that's one I need to read. Do you think? Right, let's give that a bit of a brush with some Night of Navy and a bit of a tickle with some Whisper White. And then we'll have this coming over the top here. So what I'm going to do is get my bone folder and I'm going to curl it. So if I'd have cut that with a stitch rectangle, it would have given it those stitching around the outside as well, but never mind. There we are, bettering our best. What we would do different next time. Just going to have that coming over there like that. So I'm going to stick that flap on the back. On there. And while that is sticking, I'm actually going to take some of these little buttons and I am going to take some copper foil, because obviously jeans, you have a bit of a riveting going on. I can't do rivets necessarily, but we can do some copper buttons. So let's have a couple of small buttons. And I'll cut out a couple of big buttons. We might only need one, but if I've cut a couple out, we're good to go. This would be quite a nice sort of project for teenagers, possibly. Yeah, at least it's you haven't got 30 children. I've got however many of you are going to be watching this video today. Let's pop these buttons out. I love this little button die, they're so cute. Look at my fingers. That's a sign of a good time crafting, isn't it? Right. So let's stick our little pocket on. Just going to put some glue around the edge. Then if we do want to pop something inside, we'll be able to. And I think we'll have a couple of these little copper buttons on the front here. So we'll have one that side. I've got very sticky fingers. One that side, stay. And one this side. Stay. We've got a little pocket there that we could pop something in. Morning, Jackie. Got this that's going to come over here like this, and I think we'll have a button on the front there. It's going to come onto there like that. Let's take our straps on the back. So our straps here we're going to have, so that rather than yesterday's that were coming right over the top of the bag, we'll have one stuck there and one there. I'm going to leave that to stick just a minute before I curl that over, let that set, and I'm going to dig about in my drawer next to me, because in here I have a little bag of adhesive Velcro dots. So let's take one of each, and we will stick the fluffy side to the bobbly side, and we will pop that underneath our button just there. You could also use little mini magnets for this if you've got them. There, got a little. Let's open that up and give those both individually a good press now. So we've got a little Velcro opening on our backpack there that will hold that in place. Now hopefully we're going to be able to curl these round and stick the other end on. So given our bowl and folder, let's give that a curl. Let's give that a curl. Beautiful. And we'll have one coming here. Stay. Just hold that for a second, just so that it starts to bite and won't hopefully then ping open. then we'll bring that one down to match. There we have our little backpack. That's quite cute, isn't it? Oh! Wandering button. So a little denim backpack. Obviously you could then, depending on who you were going to give it to, you could decide to decorate that. I did get out some of the denim ribbon, which is rather fun. Obviously it's a bit darker, it is a bit more night of navy. It's not a specific colour, but that is quite cute. You could have a little denim bow somewhere. Oh, perhaps just there. Let's try that once more on that side. This is going to be one of those things that's just going to get shorter and shorter. I do need to get myself a separate set of ribbon scissors. That's one of the things I keep promising myself, to order some snips and to have them just for my ribbon, and pain of death for anybody that uses them for anything else. Let's have a little bow on there. So we could have put some little flowers on there. If it's for a little boy, you could have had something else. Not sure about that bow. I like the idea of the bow, not sure that I like it just there. Let's take the bow off. We may come back to that, but for now I think I quite like the idea of just the denim. It's for somebody sort of teenagey. They're not going to want anything too fancy. Yeah, you could do it on the ribbon. Oh yes, ribbon on the, yes, on my scissors. Also, I'm thinking you meant ribbon on the handle here. We could have some ribbon on the handle there. Anyway, let's leave our ribbon off for now. Let's just stick with our nice little denim. And I do love the way that subtle folder has given it that sort of feel of material. So that's just a piece of card that we've run through the subtle folder with some Night of Navy ink and some Whisper White ink to give it a stone-washed denim look. So quite cute. If you just wanted to send a little something, and you could tuck a little tag or something in there, roll up a £5 note, whatever you wanted to send off to somebody. I think actually here behind me I do have an odd packet of Tic Tacs. They would fit in there rather nicely, wouldn't they? Look at that. If you wanted to send somebody a little pack of Tic Tacs, perfect. So that is sort of a teenagey. You could make that quite male looking. You could get out the fishing set and add fish and some of the hooks and things into that if you wanted it to be a sort of fishing backpack. You could get out the dinosaurs and add in little dinosaur bits if it was for a little boy. So those bags are not just girly bags, I suppose, is where we were going with that. You can make it for whoever you like. And that one is now going to rattle because it's got Tic Tacs in it. Don't you shake your Tic Tacs at me. I think that was an advert, wasn't it? Right, the other card that we're going to do is going back to the girly feel of this set. You can't escape it altogether. It's lipsticks and shoes and things. So let me just clean off the blue ink off my mat, otherwise everything that we touch is going to be blue. And I think I am going to find a baby wipe and just wipe the worst off my fingers, otherwise I'm going to be transferring blue ink off of there. Ooh. I'm going to stay a bit blue, I think, but at least we've made an effort to get the worst of it off. Let me find my tatty tea towel. I do have a tatty tea towel that I keep in the craft room that is only used for cleaning up stamps and sides and all of those sorts of things. Don't ever use it to dry anything up that's going to be and have anything consumed out of it. Right, so for my second project, which is a card, I have already done a little bit of die cutting. Now I have to say this didn't take me long. I've got a whole pile of little shoes here, and these little shoes have all been cut from the designer series paper that goes with this this suite. So I've got a variety of little shoes there. Now they do look quite odd because they've got no detail on them, but we're going to sort that out now, because as well as die cutting those shoes, I've also die cut a hole in the middle of this bit of card. Now these shoes, I found, the reason it didn't take me very long was because I stacked up 3 pieces of DSP, and that die ran through all 3 pieces of DSP, so I was able to cut 3 pairs with 2 runs through the big shot, and then I put in another 2 sheets of DSP, and I was able to cut 2 more pairs with another couple of run throughs. So they didn't take long. I didn't have to run that through however many times. I do need to turn my thing round though, don't I? I did think as I stuck it in, I wonder if I've put that in the right way. Right, I'm going to take my shoe stamp here, and I'm going to line it up in that gap just there. So here's my little piece of scrap card that I've cut the shoe out of the middle. I'm lining my shoe stamp in the middle of that hole, and then I'm going to pick it up. So now we know that that shoe is going to stamp into that hole, and now we're going to be able to stamp details on all of these shoes. So let's take that Night of Navy block that we're not going to be using for this, and Memento ink, because I want this in black. So first shoe into the hole, ink it up. If you do have a stamp apparatus and you want to come and join us for a class, or even if you have a different stamp positioning tool, most of the techniques will work with most stamp positioning tools. I am running a little online class that is the end of the month sometime. That one you're not going to have to wait for anything to come through the post, because it's going to be assuming that you have your own stamp apparatus, bring your own card and things, and we're just going to look at lots of different techniques that you can do with your stamp apparatus. And of course one of them is like this, with your mass stamping of punched out shapes or die cuts, because obviously if I'd have stamped these all individually, I'd have then had to line that die up individually and cut them all out individually, whereas it was, I could do some mass cutting, and now I'm just stamping on the top to get a whole bunch of fabulous shoes, darling. Does it make a difference from that die cut there that's got absolutely no detail on it to then stamping on it, and suddenly you've got a rather fabulous shoe with a patterned inner. So obviously we could have done this idea with you can do this idea with any dies really. But I just thought we'd have a whole load of shoes that we've not coloured in. We've used the designer series paper to become the pattern on our shoe. This shoe has actually got shoes on it, so it's going to be a shoe with shoes. Can you see? Oh, I don't really. Yes, there you go. A shoe with shoes on. That's that pair. That's that pair. And last but not least, we have this pair. So 5 pairs of rather fabulous shoes. Like that. And just pop that shoe up there. I'll bring that to one side, and then if I'm looking for that Stamparatus in a minute, I've just put it to one side on top of my box of embossing folders, just so that you know. Need to make we need some shoe boxes. Obviously, if we're going to display these shoes, we need some shoe boxes. So I am going to swing that round. I'm cutting that at 2.5 centimetres by, I want it to be by 4, so I'm going to get 3 out there. So if I cut that little snip off the end, I don't think I'll keep that little snip. I think sometimes you can have a little scrap of card, can be too much. So there's 3. So then let's cut another 2.5 centimetre strip and cut 2 more at 4 centimetres. So there we have 5 boxes. Obviously all of these boxes are then going to need a lid. So I'm going to cut some 1/2 centimetre strips. Now I'm going to cut those at 4.1, I think. So we'll do 12.3. Sorry, 12.3 because that's 3 lots of 4.1. So then if we cut this at 8.2, and this at 4.1, hopefully you can see where I'm going with this now. These are our lids to our shoe boxes. Had you not seen that Subtles folder? Do you know, I think it's because in the catalogue it looks like absolutely nothing. It's like, what is that? But it is just beautiful because it is very, very subtle, but it just gives that sort of a feel of material. And so you can emboss your papers, your designer series papers. So, you know, when we think yesterday we were playing with the paper and Stella said, oh, I'd love that paper in material. Well, we could use the Subtles folder to make it look like sort of, it's got a fabricy sort of feel to it, and perhaps make a dress with it or something, do a paper dress, all sorts of things. Right, so we have now got 5 little shoe boxes and 5 lids, and 5 pairs of shoes. I've got here the Smoky Slate ink pad and the Smoky Slate sponge. I'm just going to around the edge of there, just to give that a bit of shading. I think this smoky slate could do with a bit of re-inking, but actually I don't want it to be too intense, so perhaps I'll re-ink it when I've finished. Because I do just want it to be a little bit of subtle shading on there. 1, 2. Three. 4. And 5. So it just is enough just to give it, probably doesn't show up on the camera very well, it's just enough to give it a bit of a sense of shading around the edges. Now, what shall we do in terms of background? Do we go paper? I think paper might be a little bit much. I'm going to grab, we've got mint macaron, haven't we, in that paper, and I think I'll actually get a smoky slate background. And I think I'm going to go square card for this one. Let me get my other trimmer. So I'm going to cut this. We know that this A4 card cut in half is 14.9. So if I also cut it this way, 14.9, that will give me a card, score it at 14.9, that's just under, it's about 5 3/4 inches square. So it will happily sit in a 6-inch square envelope, which is something that we can get hold of. I'm going to cut down this piece so that it is 5 1/2 inches. So the card base is 5 1/4. I cut this to 5 1/2. I'm then going to take another embossing folder. This time I'm going to take the Pinewood Planks embossing folder, and I want my planks to come downwards, so I'm going to, if it's a square piece of card it won't make any difference. Duh, Helen. Let's just line that in there. Let's run that through our big shot. Again, mine is an old style embossing folder. So now we've got, yes, to go both ways and get a crisscross pattern with that settles. Yeah, absolutely. It is just, when I first saw it, I think actually it might have been when I was on stage in Holland, in Amsterdam, I can't remember. But when I first saw that Settlers embossing folder, I thought, oh, and that looks like a non-event. But so what I've got now is I've got some Whisper White ink, and I'm just running over this smoky slate grey And again, my ink pad isn't ever so inky, but that's working in my favour, because if it wasn't, I would re-ink it, because I don't want it to be too in your face white. I just want it to pick up a little bit, a sort of sense of a bit of texture. So there we go, that's just made some of that embossing pop a little bit. So we've got our mint macaron card base with our sort of pines, pine wood planks in the background. And then we need to decide how we're going to stack our boxes. So I think we want them sort of coming up actually, I think we'll have one coming up here, then we'll have these as a set of two, and then we've got various pairs of shoes as well, haven't we? Let's have a look, how are we going to put our shoes on? So we've got some yellow shoes and some stripy shoes and some purple shoes. We can have some shoes standing in the front down here. How's that looking? That's looking quite shoe shoppish, isn't it? And then we can have our little greeting coming up there. And obviously we're going to have life is short by the shoes, because, well, that's just the one that works, isn't it? But what shall we have in order to stick that in? We're going to go with our, we could have our little banner just there, couldn't we? So I'm going to cut one of those out of white as well. My little scrap box of white cards down here. I'm sure I can find a little piece of white. And I think that wants stamping in black as well. So let's just grab a block and then we'll get these all stuck down. Life is short, buy the shoes. So if you've got somebody in your life that is a collector of shoes, I have to say I'm not. We were talking about yesterday about how I'm not very good at, I don't do a lot of makeup and things. Shoes tend to be bought when I need a pair of shoes, and when the last pair has run out. I don't tend to be a great collector of shoes either. I collect craft things. Right, okay, that's where my money goes. Let's stick these down. So I'm just going to slide those off. So there's our background. That was rather a lot. One shoebox. We won't have them perfectly stacked. We'll have them so that somebody's rifled through them and Had a good old look at the shoes. Not quite put them back straight. Do you remember those days when you used to be able to go into shops and look at things? This will be a reminder of bygone days. Oh, dropped my lid. And let's have our second stack of shoes. Hi, Glenda. I'm going to come back to that lid in a minute. Let's put our shoes, stack our shoes on the front here. We'll have a yellow pair here. So I'm sticking these ones on flat. We could have put some dimensionals behind our box. And what one shall we have next? I am going to I'm going to stick this pair of shoes together and then pop some dimensionals behind it. So I'm going to run a bit of glue down there and stick that shoe to that shoe. Oh, and then throw them on the floor. Where is that gone? It's gone right down the spine of a binder and out the other end. There it is. Oh, and it's picked up some of the dog on the way. He likes to be involved, even though he has gone back to bed. And because my fingers are sticky, I've now got dog all over me too. He's everywhere. Come on, off you go. Right. So there's that pair of shoes sticking in front of that box. Let's do the same. What should we have? We'll have a pink pair just there. And oh, and have that pink pair just here. We'll have a pair I'll stick that one on and then put a dimensional on the front one. Just there. Now, what I can't decide with this one is whether to have the shoes sticking out of the box with perhaps have the lid coming across the back if it's been lifted up. And then we'll have these shoes sticking out to the top of this box. Like that. Let's put our dimensionals on there. It's starting to get warm in here. Now, do we want I am thinking I'm going to be rather indulgent with sparkly things, because obviously this is going to be a card for a girlfriend or something, and it's a big card, so you know, special occasion. Let's put some let's have some sparkly, sort of almost sparkly lights coming round. That greeting, the dog's everywhere. Obviously I've not pulled out those folders and brushed behind those for a little while. He has accumulated. And because my fingers are inky and sticky, bless him. There we are, that's a mad amount of, they are little ones, little rhinestones. We'll have one each end, because, well, because we can. Life is short, buy the shoes. There, that's a bit of fun. So 2 cards, one going madly girly, but we haven't coloured. We've used our shoes. We've die cut the shoes out of the designer series paper pack that goes with this suite, and then stamped that shoe image onto them with our stamparatus. Some pine wood planks in the back that we've sponged on. We've created our little pile of shoe boxes just from white card, but that's just a bit of fun. That's just making your own accessories. And alongside that we have our little denim backpack that will be a fun little gift bag. For some sort of quarantine. I heard that phrase this morning. I hadn't really picked up on that before. So if you have a quarantine in your family that you wanted just to send a little bit of nonsense to, then there you go. Say you could find something just to tuck in the front there, and just a little backpack, subtle folder, a bit of sponging with night of navy and whisper white. So there's a couple of different projects to add to. So we had our little bag of gift cards yesterday. We've got a couple more projects today. We'll come in and we'll do something else again tomorrow, just because, well, because we can. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sticking with me despite an emotional meltdown. But yeah, I hope that these Facebook Lives bring you a little bit of joy, they, surprisingly enough, certainly do me. So thank you. I think it's breakfast time and time for another cup of tea. And then I'm out to deliver some bingo kits locally. So I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow.